My name is Sharecia Blake, and thank you all for coming out to my second speech. Today I will be discussing hair braiding. Hair braiding has been found and seen in various cultures around the world today. Some of these cultures include Asia, Africa, America, Europe, and Egypt. Now, hair braiding goes back as many as 5,000 years ago. It's been around for a long time. I remember seeing Pocahontas, and she had her hair braided in a French braid. Now, a French braid is the first type of braid that I'm going to demonstrate today, and I'm going to use a Nina Ali to demonstrate this. The second type of braid I'm going to use today will be a cornrow. I have put a few fast facts up here about braiding that I wanted to share with you before I went ahead and got to the demonstration about how to braid in a cornrow and a French braid. These fast facts include why you should braid your hair and why some of the cultures did and do braid their hair. In Africa, they braided their hair and still do braid their hair to show social status. Women of different social standings all gathered together, and depending on the various types of styles that they braided their hair in, it showed the different statuses that those women were in, the different standings that they had in their culture. Moving on down the list, we have the French people. Now, during the Renaissance times, the French people would braid their hair because they weren't able to bathe regularly. Therefore, if they kept their hair braided, it kept it clean. Also, not washing your hair so frequently prevents it from breaking and being dry. Keeping it braided prevents split ends. So it's in a way, it helps your hair to braid it. Next, I would like to say that it was passed down in these cultures from tradition to tradition. Even in the Americas, the Aztec Indians would use braiding hair for style. They'd put colorful ribbons and strands in their hair, and they would braid it up. Or they would braid it when they were working to keep it out of their way so they could see and it wasn't obstructing their view. The Hopi Indians would braid hair only to the women that were married. Women that were married were allowed to wear their hair braided. It signified those women were married. So it shows social function. Last but not least, I would like to say that the Egyptians would have the royalty braid the hair in their wigs, and they would wear it up for fashion and for styles. Only the royal people. As you can see, there are many different styles and many different ways to braid hair. It can be a family tradition, or it can simply be a style. Nina, go ahead and come on up. Okay, now, these are the tools that I will be using. Let me move the chair first. I'll put it right here. You want to go ahead and stand here. These are the tools that I'm going to be using. I have 2 hairbrushes, rubber bands, and a comb. Now, Nina also has a little bit of a bigger rubber band. For thicker hair, you might want to use bigger rubber bands. Nina, if you could hold my tools. Oh. Okay, now, getting started. First, you want to separate all of the hair. You want to keep it loose. If you guys want to all get up and come stand around here so you can get a better view, you can. Now, go ahead, and if you want to stand on this side, over here, on the left. Go ahead and brush through the hair first. And it's important to communicate with the person that you're brushing their hair because it's a process. You're going to need them to move in different ways, look up and down and tilt and lean. And so if you communicate with them, you can keep it convenient for you and keep them comfortable. Now, after you've got the hair completely brushed out, you want to go ahead and separate a section. If you want, so that you can have an even part, you can use a comb, but in a French braid, it's really not necessary because of the fact that you're not going to have time to continue parting the hair all the way down as you're pulling it. And if you could hold the comb. Next, you want to separate the hair into 3 strands like so. And I will hold it at the top because that gets for a tighter braid. And you go. Grab the hair over, under, over, under, over, under. And as you go, pull some hair from the sides. Now, you don't want to pull a glob of hair, just enough hair that you can continue braiding it down the sides. Grabbing more hair as you go. Nina, if you could look down a little bit. Over and under. And you continue like so. Can everybody see? Can you all see? Okay. All right, and you continue to go down. And you move over. And all the while, you're pulling more hair. And you separate the strands. And you continue with these 3 strands. All the way down to the bottom. How long have you been braiding hair? Since I was about 7.
How long does the hair have to be?
The hair usually needs to be about 1 inch to 2 inches. However, as long as you can grip the hair, you can braid the hair. So there isn't no really a standard length. And as you get closer to the nape of the neck, you want to go ahead and remember that there are smaller hairs that it's harder to grip, and they sometimes hurt. If the person's tender-headed, you don't want to grip them, so the braid will be a little bit more loose. However, if they're not tender-headed, you can grip the little bitty tiny hairs. Okay, may I have a rubber band, please? Okay, and at this point, you have completed your French braid. And you want to go ahead and tie the rubber band in the bottom. All right, thank you, Nana. And I'll go ahead and collect the pencil from her, and if you want to go ahead and demonstrate, show your braid off. Yeah, have a seat, please. Okay, now, for Catricia. Have a seat, please. Now, I'm going to go ahead and have you hold my tools, too. And it's the same process as Nina. However, this is a corn roll, and these braids are a little bit more difficult. As you guys can see, I've already braided a lot of it. The reason I did it is because it wasn't all going to be able to done during this video. It takes 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how picky and how neat and how long it takes you. Basically, you need to be able to part the hair. And in this scenario, it's nice to be symmetrical because it always looks nicer. You don't want a really huge braid and then a bunch of little bitty braids. So go ahead and get parts about the same size. Now, you don't need a ruler or nothing crazy like that, but you do want to make sure that they're about the same size. You should be able to judge when you look at it. After that, you go ahead and you brush through it. Because once again, you're still going to be gathering the hair. You take your comb and you part it, remembering to keep them about the same size. And as you can see, I only have about 2 braids left. So I'm just going to make one straight line. And once you make your first line over here, you're just making one line over from there on out. And you can use different designs, make different shapes. It all depends on what you want. I kept it kind of basic. Catricia, if you could put your hand right here in the back, please. You have her hold her hair, and I use this comb to keep the hair out of the way because you don't want your strands to get mixed up. Lean back a little. From there, it's much like a French braid. You just separate the hairs like so and twist it and intertwine. Can everybody see? Yeah.
Does it matter how long you keep them in?
No, it really doesn't, but after you sleep on them, if you don't wrap them, if you don't use like a headband and wrap them up, then they will become loose because moving your hair and the static. If you put a little bit of oils and greases, African American people generally do this, it keeps the braids tighter together. However, on slicker hair, more fine hair, you don't want to put the grease in until after it's braided because if you put grease in before, it's too slick and too fine.
So, like, what can you put on it to, like, keep it from messing up at nighttime?
You could take, like, a headband and wrap it around your head. They make specific head wraps to keep the braids nice. You can wrap around your hair to keep it tight. That's going to keep it from rubbing on your pillow. That will work. And after that, after you went all the way down and you pulled the hair, you have the braid. And I'll demonstrate the last one so you guys can get another close look. You just want to tie the braid in like so. And this keeps the braid from coming out. And you can braid it all the way down to the bottom if you like. Some people, they do. In women, they generally put in a ponytail or do a half back, but that's not all women, and there's many other styles. So you can look online on various different websites, YouTubes, and tutorials, and they can show you different styles that you can use. And salons will have different books that you can look in and see the various different braids that you can get. You can even braid your hair up and add hair to your braids. And all I'm doing here is parting the hair, making sure I get it straight. Always looks nice and neater if you have a straight part. Once again, I'll have Catricia hold her hair back here, please. And then you just want to separate the hair into 3 strands like so. And go under and pull, under and pull, under. And you just weave, and as you go, you pull hair from the sides. And on the edges, you want to be sure to get all the little baby corner hairs. Now, you probably won't be able to get every last one of them, but so that you don't have a bunch of freezes and so that you don't have to constantly wrap, you want to make sure that you get those hairs. The tighter that you have your hair braided, the less likely that it's going to come loose, and the longer you can wear it up. So even though it hurts and it pulls, the more it pulls, the longer it stays. And when it pulls on your hair, it actually helps your hair to grow, to be honest with you. So it's good for your hair. And as I'm doing it, I'm just going under and over and pulling hair. And the closer you get to the braid and the tighter you pull it, the tighter the braid is. May I have another rubber band? You can let go. Thank you. You just want to put a rubber band in, like so. And now you have coils. And from here, Sharecia could straighten her hair and wear it all down, or you could just brush it and put it in a ponytail. When I was in volleyball, we often braided our hair like this to all be unified as a team, and we put it in a fluffy ponytail. Now you know how to do a cornrow and a fish braid. Any other questions? All right, well, that concludes my speech. Thank you all for coming out.